Anyone remember that Goonies movie that was a thing back in 1985? You know, that movie about a bunch of kids trying to save their homes from demolition, and they find a map that leads to a pirate ship full of treasure, and they go on this adventure looking for this ship and trying to get there before the crooks do? I'm sure somebody does. It's an 80s movie, so it's nostalgic, I guess, but I digress. Anyway, about a year later, the Goonies got a video game on the Nintendo Famicom courtesy of Konami. And then they got a sequel on the NES that actually did get localized here. For some reason, the first game never made it to North American soil outside of an arcade release as part of Nintendo's VS system line. Or is it the Versus system? Who cares? Anyway, that was the only official means of playing this game. But the Goonies was a game that was included on a number of unofficial NES and Famicom multicarts, which is how I first stumbled across this game as a youngster, and even now that's how I play it today. And even if the title was missing from that opening screen, that very familiar 8-bit rendition of that Cyndi Lauper song was enough of an indicator to tell you exactly what game you were playing. Assuming you were at all familiar with the movie it was based on, of course. In the Goonies for Nintendo Famicom, you take control of Mikey, who must venture through 6 levels to find and rescue his Goonie friends who all look the same. The idea behind the game is relatively simple. You kill rats to collect bombs, and then you use these bombs to explode these doors, which can not only house a Goonie per level, but also health pickups, slingshots, and keys. Each level has 3 keys that you'll need to seek out in order to unlock this barricade and clear the level. Technically speaking, you only need the 3 keys to clear the level, but you need to find all your friends in order to access One-Eye Willie's pirate ship in the final level. By the time you clear level 5, if you left even one Goonie behind, then you'll have to restart the whole game from scratch. Of course, if you do beat the game, you'll get a brief ending sequence and restart the game from scratch anyway, so it's not that big of a deal, but would you really leave your friends behind just so you could skim through the game faster? I'm guessing some of you would, and that's kind of a dick move, and you should feel bad. Or maybe not, I don't care, but I digress. The Goonies is simple fare, but not necessarily straightforward, save for the first level, which is a nice place to acclimate yourself to the gameplay and the control. Each of the game's remaining 5 levels span multiple floors and multiple paths that you'll access by climbing ladders or entering these skull door things. So you'll need to search every nook and cranny to find the keys, your buddies, and other stuffs that could be of use. And doors aren't the only place you'll find goodies. Walking over certain areas will reveal diamonds that you could pick up, and if you collect 8 of them, you'll gain a quick health refill. There are also hidden treasures as well as hidden items that will better protect you against the elements should you find them. Comparing this to its latter-day sequel on the NES, which was a more fleshed out experience, and also the one I'd imagine more people back in the day got to play due to its being officially released here, the first Goonies game is far more basic in its design, and as such, one should not go into this expecting a grand adventure of sorts because that's not what this game is. Rather, the Goonies is a pretty polished and, dare I say, well-refined platformer game with some elements of exploration to give it some semblance of depth, but at its core, it's still very much hopping platforms, killing rats in the face, and trying to clear the level before time runs out. Controlling Mikey is simple and easy to pick up. A jumps, B kicks, and if you have a bomb on hand, you simply crouch down and press B to lay that one bomb and keep away from the explosion, because that sucker kills. No, really, stay away from it. It does kill you. If there's a bit of a quibble to be had with the Goonies, it's that the game might be a bit on the easy side. The first time out, looking for everything here and there, that might take a while, but after a few tries and once you know where everything is, more or less, it shouldn't take you more than, I don't know, a half hour more or less to clear the whole thing. Probably less if you come across the hidden treasures to make life easier. The overall gameplay and the threats you'll encounter doesn't change much until the last third of the game, but even then, it never really gets to the point of being too taxing to the brain. Just mind your surroundings, minimize your mistakes, and you'll be just fine. The Goonies is a somewhat simplistic looking game, which is quite understandable for a 1986 Famicom game, but it's a clean looking game with some cute looking characters, some nice yet samey looking caves, and minimal flicker and slowdown to boot, so it's not a taxing game to say the least. The first level is the only level with any semblance of a background, with the rest being relegated to some black void, but again, it's hard to fault the game due to its age, and what's there is just fine looking. Hardly any slowdown, and again, very little to no flicker. Sound-wise, it's fine. There's a few tunes at most, including a decent 8-bit rendition of the main theme. The rest of the original tunes, I think they're original, it's been a while. They're fine, not much to say there. Same in regards to the sound effects. It's your typical Famicom fare with a rather annoying sound that plays whenever Mikey is hurt. Not quite ear rape levels, but it starts to get annoying after a while, so you want to try and not get hurt. Your ears will thank you. Overall, the Goonies on the Famicom is a modestly decent little platformer that's fairly simplistic and easy to get into, while adding little bits of depth and exploration to give the illusion of making this seem a bit more than that. It might be a bit of a loose adaptation of the film and doesn't really dwell on the story that much, but that's okay. It controls well, it plays well, and it's actually quite enjoyable regardless of whether you're a fan of the film or not. If you get a chance to play this one, either through import or one of the multicarts or this red multicart or some other means, by all means give it a go. It won't reinvent the wheel, but for a simple, fun platformer, Goonies on the Famicom is good enough.